Calexico City Council Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financial Authority, a special meeting on November 16 at
Mayor, we don't have to go through all that.
Yeah, we can just have the city clerk note for the record the presence of the members as well.
10:05. Yeah, 10:05, right? I'm
Can
sorry?
you- We don't need to go through all those.
No, but at least we can start with.
The city clerk needs to what? Just,
She can note for the
the record?
record the council members present.
okay.
Okay, City Clerk, roll call again.
Here,
Mayor Castro,
Here.
here,
Temporada, Mayor, Councilmember Moreno,
I'm here.
Councilmember Kim.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, next item, approval of the agenda.
so moved.
Second.
Aye.
Okay,
Hi. No. Aye.
we have, I think, we don't have no other presentation, right?
No, just
Okay.
public comments.
Okay. Now, we have item number, public comments from the public. Can you read the announcement, City Clerk, please? No? Okay. Okay, so, okay, next item is discussion and/or action, general public safety, cost, and identification of alternatives and solution of proposal for provision of contract public safety and law enforcement services. City Manager, can you give us a report on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council and the community. The primary reason for this item and requested council consideration, discussion, and action is to address the city's current fiscal condition and also to address the elevated cost of providing public services that we've experienced over the last couple of years. If you recall, Mr. Mayor, at the last regular meeting of November 2nd, our financial consultant presented our council with a 5-year historical and actual revenues trend. The analysis revealed several very important fiscal realities for the city. 3 of the most important red flags were in that presentation that we've had 3 consecutive years of deficit spending, and which amounted to approximately $9 million in overspending. Also, the presentation revealed that we completely depleted our city's reserve, and also we required that we do a leaseback loan from the wastewater treatment plant to be able to close out fiscal year 15-16. And also, another red flag that we identified during that process, we discovered that we have very elevated costs of public safety. If you recall, Mr. Mayor, back in June when you adopted the city's general fund budget, you required city staff to go back and reduce expenditures by $3.9 million. And you required during that time that we do so by August 1st of 2016, but not later than the end of the fiscal year. We are into our 4th month, and we are very close to achieving that. Administration, and I work with most of the department heads, and we collaboratively realized about $1.5 million in cuts. We've also worked with several labor unions, and we've achieved another $1 million worth of savings in voluntary reductions in salaries and benefits. We're not done. We still need about $1.5 million in savings this year to be able to close out the books balanced. So back on the 5-year history analysis, that reveals that over the last 5 years, we spent roughly over 50% of the city's general fund, up to 75% in public safety. That only leaves roughly about 25% of the city's general fund to provide the residents of Calexico with the other essential services such as paying all the bills, paying city hall staff, and doing repairs. Well, we found out that that .25 or that 25% general fund is not enough. It's not enough to support the other essential services that we need to provide the citizens of Calexico. So it is I think, imperative and important for you guys to look at alternatives for public safety, because we estimate that the cost of public services are going to continue to go up because of pensions, because of our contracts, because basically the way we have set up our cost. So we want you to, in the staff report, we are asking you to consider looking at alternatives so that we can achieve cost savings. We're starting to become really worried about the fact that we are not achieving the cost savings that we need to do to be able to close out the year. So anyways, we're asking for you to consider two actions. One of them is to direct us to start being conferred process with the unions, public safety unions, to be able to achieve some cost savings, and also to be able to start looking at alternatives to providing public safety and law enforcement services. Thank you.
Question. When you say public safety, that's you including fire department and police department, right?
Correct.
Both? Okay. Does the council have any question from the staff? Mr. Moreno?
I think we have some people who want to speak.
Okay. You guys wanna start with public comment? Okay, no problem.
Bill Hodge?
Before I start my little speech, Bill Hodge, 1020, again, Meadows Drive, Calexico. We don't seem to be listening to Officer Acuna. Councilman, they have a counter proposal. In fact, it meets the requirements, as far as I understand, of Manager Villa, and plus $9,000 more. Please, I implore you to look at that again. They have come up with a system that will meet, and they will take care of their part of the share of lowering that outstanding $1.2 million. Bringing in the sheriff's department will prove to be, I believe, cost ineffective in the long run and inefficient, and divide and break up Calexico, a community. According to other source analysis, the first you might be financially viable, but after that, Calexico will be at the bidding of the Sheriff's Department in rising cost. The Sheriff's Department, as presented by Officer Acuna, can't offer all the essential services of public safety. And as a citizen, I'm extremely concerned about that and where we're at right now. Safety to Calexico. They can't do DUI checks, processing. They're not able to process traffic accidents. And furthermore, what is most damaging and is destroying our own police department. I consider the Calexican employees and the citizens all part of Calexico family, and we would be breaking this family apart with no means to provide for food or shelter for their families. Now, I know we have to make some cuts. I know. But I don't want to see Calexico an empty shell just because of constant outsourcing. Let's not divide it. Let's keep Calexico together. There are other options and alternatives to restoring our balanced budget that instead of this conservative reactionary method of deep cuts off the back of city employees and large-scale outsourcing. This is a regular, on a national, federal, state level, this is a regular conservative method of cuts first before thinking of how to bring in revenue at the same time and not do so deep cuts. So let's not divide Calexico. I implore you to stop the negative and harmful movement. Plus, there is no need any longer for police department retaliation. Now, regarding Mr. Salsa's concern, they are to be taken seriously, But I don't believe it's mainly due to the lazy police officers. It's due to the city council not appropriately bringing enough police officers for police safety. You bring enough officers, you bring down the overtime. They are undermanned. We're down to the bone. This is a public emergency, safety emergency. So we have a fine police department. They've cleaned up. They're doing well under the chief. And let's help them, and let's keep it together as a family, bulldogs. Let's keep Calexico together, and we shall overcome. We don't need the sheriffs.
Good evening, Sean Acuna, President Calexico CPOA. I just want to thank Mr. Hodge for his comments and...
Officer Acuna, use your other mic, please.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, I just want to thank Mr. Hodge for his comments. And, it's a little bit confusing because, we were asked to cut $560,000 from the police department. We exceeded it by cutting it up to $573,000. $13,000 was going to be the actual. So we went above and beyond. We had some pretty productive conversations with City Manager Villa, who seemed receptive. But yet, once our conversation went to him and to the council, something happened. I don't know if information was filtered, but ultimately, they didn't want to accept our offer, which is really hard to understand. How do you not accept an offer like that? We used a little bit of ingenuity in coming up with the figure by revamping our pay scale, a couple other things that we had to do that were creative, but it came up with the dollar amount, exceeding the dollar amount that they wanted. Let me tell you two things about bringing in the sheriff's department. You're going to awake a sleeping giant, okay? Very, very dangerous to do that, because what's going to happen is they're going to come in the first year, and it will be cheaper, okay? It will be cheaper. And every year thereafter, it's going to go up, and what you're going to do is you're going to jeopardize all the other city employees, okay? Because you're going to be at the mercy of public safety, and every year the cost is going to go up, and as the cost goes up, there's nothing that the city's going to be able to do. And what will ultimately happen is the other city departments are going to have to take not only pay cuts, but layoffs, okay? Because public safety is going to constantly go up. Calexico is not decreasing its size, it's growing. It has a slow growth, but it's expanding. So we have to consider that. The other problem is this. This is another thing that the sheriff's department's going to do, is they're going to come in, they're going to dedicate 3 deputies to the city of Calexico, right, to keep it cheap. And if they need any other resource, okay, any other resources, extra backup, traffic control, what have you, they're going to have to draw from deputies outside the city. Now, you got to remember, the sheriff's department, South County is divided by Keystone, which is between Imperial and the city of Raleigh. Okay? Anything south of Keystone is considered South County. Anything north of Keystone is North County. So can you imagine the response time from Keystone all the way here to Calexico? Talk about delays and poor service. And then, again, the sheriff's department is a great organization. I have a lot of friends that work there, so I'm not putting them down, but they're not equipped because they just simply do not handle car accidents, DUIs, and auto thefts. And there's a reason why they don't do that, is because it's extremely time-consuming, and the sheriff's department is short-staffed as it is, and they have to cover hundreds of miles within this county. So you know what? The thing to do is to, instead of concentrating, the easy way out by, making the employees bear the brunt, okay, of this council's inability to collaborate and work together, what you should have done is been thinking of ways of how to generate business, how to sustain it, and maintain it. So I implore you, do not contract out public safety, police, fire, because what you will do is you will eventually outsource the rest of the city departments. Thank you.
Do we have more public comments, City Clerk? No? Okay, any questions from the public, from the City Council? Any comments?
Well, this is a difficult discussion, to say the least. We have 3 lame ducks up here, so to speak, that are going to give direction on something as critical as this. And I don't know if that's fair to the employees or not. But I know that a lot of good points have been mentioned as far as looking for alternatives. I don't think right now is the time. I think we need to go back to the table and have some healthy discussions about contractual agreements with public safety. Hopefully, everyone will negotiate in good faith, but this is a critical area of discussion, and I'm not sure if we three would, would do what's best at this time, because all you're asking for is to look at alternatives. Is that correct?
So the request is to sort of a two-prong approach. If I'm going to be looking at alternatives, I need an obligation to contact the unions and let them know that we're looking at alternatives and possibly considering making a decision on it. Obviously, the decisions or the alternatives are going to prove to be cheaper not only for the short term, but for the long term. The negotiations that we have with our public safety units are very short term, 1 year, possibly 2 years. Regardless, though, we still have to deal with the issue that we spent up to 75% of our city's general fund on public safety. And I don't know that the community is okay with that, because of all the other things that we need to pay for, such as parks, street maintenance. We just had a whole bunch of community members here complaining that we haven't fixed streets. This is going to be the consequence of having to deal or having to pay so much for one area of the services that we must fulfill to the citizens, while disregarding the other areas. I think we need to be able to find alternatives that are going to be balanced. We have a lot of obligations other than public safety to the community members. Parks, recreation, stop signs, insurance that we have to pay, electricity, a lot of bills that we have, and simply put, 25%, it isn't going to be enough.
Right.
To keep the residents of Calexico happy.
And I know that you've been meeting with the various bargaining units, and the timeline was for August to make sure that you would come close to agreements with them. Public safety has still not come to an agreement with administration as far as contracts in this case, right? Or is that something that you can answer?
Well, we don't have an acceptable offer yet.
Oh, an acceptable offer. So, wow, okay. And that is 3 months ago, August. So my question is, why is it taking so long? Or is that something that you can't answer at this time because it's a personnel issue? Okay, thank you, never mind. At this time, I would rather just see if these bargaining units can continue to come to the table quickly. I'm not all for going to look at alternatives at this time.
Mr. Moreno?
Yes.
I think there's a clear distinction between,
Can I ask a question? So what's the budget right now for the police department? Is it 7 million or,
it's less than $7 million.
so like 6 million?
6.7.
6.7, so 7 million. So 7 million, so 30% would be 2.1 million. That's the amount that 30% cost reduction is what supposedly the city's doing citywide. I mean, approximate, right?
So what we are, Yeah, it's very difficult to equate
I know,
the
I'm just.
percentage of cost.
I understand that sometimes it's salary, sometimes it's benefits, but in general, it's around $2 million that the PD has to take a cut.
Let me just kind of,
We probably don't want to get too much into discussions, that's the labor negotiations.
Okay.
there's a, what I want to,
The reason I'm asking, because $500,000 is like, I'm not no math major, but it's probably, what, like 10%, or no, like 8%, correct?
of
Or
the department.
maybe we can't talk about that.
No,
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 I'm
no.
just-
What
I
I
don't
want
think-
you to, what I want you to, I think, to focus us is, there's two independent tracks here. Independent of our negotiations with the unions, our 5-year analysis of our spending revealed something very important to us. We're headed for a wreck. We spend too much money on public safety. And I don't know if that's acceptable to you. Certainly, what I've done is I've analyzed all the obligations that we have as a city. And I cannot provide the services that are needed with 25%.
So what you're telling us is, if we continue in this path, that, just don't ask for anything else in the city, pretty much. We can't afford anything else.
Correct.
And in the future, it's going to get worse. 5 years from now, we might go into BK if we continue in this way. I mean, you can't see the future, but, okay. Okay. Another thing, because this kind of threw me off, we're not voting on bringing in the sheriff right now.
What I'm requesting
We're
you to do
voting
is to give me
on
authority to look for alternatives.
alternatives, but-
To achieve not only,
Because one of the president, is it president, or, yeah, president, right? POA president? He touched on a lot of important things, like response time and how many sheriffs would be here and all that stuff. And I think that's important for the council and the public to know. So also, as the alternative, to find out, what that, I'm not saying I don't trust you, but I still would like to also, know, maybe that's true, maybe it's not a good alternative, but you don't have that now. You don't have numbers on the sheriff now, correct? No, okay.
Yes,
Let me just clarify, and then
wait a second.
With staff recommendations, so just everybody knows, it's to meet and confer with public safety and law enforcement units over the implications of contracting, that's one. The second item is to solicit official proposals.
Okay,
for
but you
alternative
would come back to the
services.
council for a yes and no?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
today,
we're not.
I'm not asking you
okay.
to make a decision now, I'm asking you to give me authority
Options.
for me to bring you options and,
Okay.
and options to the community to see how best to spend that money.
Okay.
Mr. Kim, you want to say something?
Well, I always having issues with this issue because one side of the money, the budget, we don't have it, and the other side, pride of the community. And no matter how bad our police department or how good the police department, and I not feel good to if we have to have someone, bring someone to our town to deal with our own issues. I'm not very comfortable, but same time we have an obligation to community to balance the budget and provide the proper service for the community. I think we are failing right now.
Mr. Acuña, you want to say something? Yes.
Thank you for letting me come back up here just to follow up. I think it's important to know, you're right, over the past 5 years, there's been a lot of expenditures, and I know it's always geared at public safety. It's pretty typical for public safety to right around 70%. El Centro, Brawley, even the Sheriff's Department. Public safety is always the most expensive out of any branch within any city, common knowledge. The thing is this, City of Calexico should have over 48 police officers. We're down to 21. So there's a major savings that's taking place every single day that we work, okay? Like I said, we do more with less, and the savings is phenomenal. I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, we're cut more than half. So as we go forward from today on, there's always a cost savings that's going to be built in. And there's no way the Sheriff's Department is going to be able to parallel the type of service that we can provide. It just won't happen. Like I said, they'll dedicate 2 or 3 bodies to Calexico who are posted. Any other sources are going to have to come from outside the city. Major delay in response time. Plus, you have a department that doesn't, that there are several fields that they just don't handle. And not because they're not a good department, they just don't do it because they're so time-consuming, they have a vast area to cover. So there you have a big training issue. And again, you'll be at the mercy of the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department will answer to the county council, and there will be no control whatsoever. And you jeopardize all the other city departments. So please, please consider that. And I know this new council that's coming in will at least be receptive and hear us with regard to these issues. But as far as cost savings, I can understand where Mr. V is coming from. Over the past 5 years, there has been over expenditures, wasted money, bad decisions in bringing in administration that overspent, overtime issues. But we're half the size, less than half the size we once were, and that's a cost savings right there.
Thank you.
If I may add real quick, not only that, but I'll give you an example. The city of Hopeville,
Can you come to the podium, please? The other one, is that one.
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Juan Ramirez, I'm a 6-year veteran of police department. I just wanted to add, I'll give you an example. City of Hopeville, the sheriff's office are providing law enforcement services to the city of Hopeville. What you guys need to understand is that if the sheriff's office has an emergency, I'll give you an example in Heber. Well, that deputy in Hopeville is going to leave Hopeville to assist other deputies, which will leave the city of Hopeville unattended. That is the same thing that's going to happen with Calexico. If you have 3 deputies here in Calexico, and if there's an emergency, a deputy needs backup in Heber or in South County, the deputy in Calexico, the deputies are going to leave, okay, to help out the other officer or the deputy. And you will not have any deputy services, law enforcement services, until they come back. I just hope you understand that.
Thank you. Mr. Real, do you want to say something? So, any more questions to the?
No, just
City
just in
staff?
just in general. I mean, from reading this, what I'm understanding is that it's looking at alternatives. I think that some people thought it was already going to the sheriff, and I'm assuming that if that were ever to happen, that there's a process, right? I mean, because all these officers are bringing good points up as far as what that alternative looks like, right? And it's not, again, it's not going to the sheriff. It's the possibility of alternatives.
This is
And-
a
and looking at that.
feasibility study.
Pretty much.
That's all it is, right?
What are our options? Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just a feasibility
And
study.
I mean, obviously, we all, we would hope that the CPOA and city manager get together and come up with the right numbers to do what you guys gotta do. But at the same time, you gotta, prepare for expect the best and prepare for the worst, I guess, case scenario, but it's up to you guys.
Okay, so what is the desire of this council? Left, right?
It's a feasibility study, and I think that doesn't hurt anything. So I will make a motion to look at this.
We have a motion. Second. Yeah.
For clarification, we're not voting on going to the sheriff. We're just voting on giving us
There's nothing in the
alternatives.
report that talks about the sheriff.
Okay.
What I'm looking at alternatives.
Okay, so the sheriff's not even on there, but obviously
There's nothing in
that's,
this report.
that's the alternative, okay.
use the word alternatives, we're all thinking sheriffs. We've been
Mr. Villa's looking at the sheriffs. That's another word for, that's what we're gonna look at. I mean, we've been around since 1908. There's a lot of history. Mr. Moreno and you guys, we've all been around. Got a lot of good people that are working for the police department,
I agree with
you
you.
know? So, you know, I mean, stop beating around the bush. That's what you guys are looking at. So
That's what I thought it was. It
That's-
obviously
well,
doesn't
that's- I
say
mean, that's
sheriff
what it
here,
sounds
but
like, because it
it
seems
doesn't
like-
say sheriff here, but I'm assuming that's what
because
it
it
is.
seems like Mr. Villa and council, I mean, you guys are giving two different answers regarding to alternatives. Mr. Villa kind of stalls and says, well, there's an alternative. So we're all thinking what you're thinking. So,
Well, I mean, what?
Are you at least letting the public get involved?
Of course.
Hearing the public what they have to say?
That has to
I-
happen.
we-
I'm assuming there has to
We
be
asked
some type
for
of,
public comments.
Like you're saying, Mr. Moreno, disability study, that's one step.
Mhm.
But what, have you had townhouse meetings, asking people what we want?
I'm assuming if it gets to that point where there's no negotiation, that has to happen.
You're making it sound as like, you know, Mr. Legaspi is saying is, you know, you're already set to turn over.
Not at all. We don't even, how can you turn over if you don't even have a feasibility study?
It's
That's
an
why you do it.
arm-twisting tactic
You want to use
for
that microphone?
negotiations.
We need to get the public involved.
Okay.
It's our safety.
It's a tactic to make us submit to what you guys want. And, you know, again,
I thought you guys already did.
no, we actually, yeah. Look, we exceeded the amount wanted, but it just, like I said, we used a little bit of ingenuity, and I guess, you know, the council wasn't receptive toward it, but we exceeded the dollar amount we were requested to take. And that's why I don't have any faith in what the city manager is saying. You know, it's really a disguised comment, oh, let's do a feasibility study. The translation is, let's do what we can to get the sheriffs, okay? Right,
Mr.
everybody
Mayor.
has that same interpretation.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I don't want anybody to speak for me, so let me just share with you, this is not a tactic. The responsibilities you have given me to close the budget gap
Yes.
at all costs include, and I owe it to the community too, to make sure that they are well informed about the true cost of services, and my responsibility as city manager is to reduce those costs and provide more services. So it is not a scary tactic. It is a very real alternative that I'm trying to find to present to you guys, because that's my job. If we can somehow find an alternative that is cheaper, I will present it to you. Your job as a decision maker is to make that final decision.
Yes. Okay, so what is the desire of this council? We have a motion, my left, second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor respond to say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Nope.
It's hard to decide. I believe what's called the hearing matters is not making final decision. Probably feasible study coming, then they make a decision. Probably they might have to have some special meeting or meeting to hearing the community before they decided to final decision. I have to think a little more.
5-minute recess.
You wanna?
is that how you want to leave your legacy?
Yeah, I just want to make one more closing comment if I
Legacy.
can. I'd like to make one more closing comment. The reason why we're leery about dealing with the city manager is, like I said, we've come to the table exceeding the amount by $13,000. They don't want to do it. So it really just makes it seem like they're going through the motions because they want to bring in the sheriff's department. If you tell me, hey, Sean, you need to take a 10,000 pay cut, and I say, well, we'll do 15, and you don't accept it, there's something wrong. It's a red flag. Thank you.
With that last comment, though, I don't know, and I guess we'd have to talk to the city manager about it, but that's not what's being said. 500,000, well, we're not going to talk about that, yeah, but
No.
that's not what we're told.
Well, that's what I'm saying, filtered information.
Okay, Mr. Kim.
Never seen him quiet like this.
Kim speechless.
So why don't you speak first then?
What do you mean to speak? I already spoke. What am I going to say?
Well, I spoke already too.
This is about a alternative solution. If they negotiate and come to an agreement, we don't have to go to an alternative. That's that simple. I mean, you make it seem like you're voting on bringing in the sheriff tomorrow, or the county fired, you know? That's not the case. Yeah, that's what should happen. That's correct. There's got to be town hall meetings. People need to be outspoken about this. It's a big deal.
So
But-
that means
but-
we're not
but
gonna-
at the
we're
same
not gonna
time-
decide today.
But at the same, well, you have a first and a second. At the same time, I mean, it's, what is it? He said, she said, I mean, we got to see, if the council wants to do the alternatives, then, you know, it's probably sheriff or El Central PD, or I don't know who else can come and give us services, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Mandy.
I'm, okay, well,
So, Mr. Mayor, let me just clarify.
Sherry, get
that,
off the pot.
I just want to make sure that I clarify that this is not about negotiations. This is about purely outlining to you guys the true cost of public safety services today and over the last 5 years, and possibly over the next 5 years. That is what I'm bringing, that's what's on the report today.
Hold on, I'm sorry to keep coming up here, but Mr. Villa, you told me yourself, okay, you came from a contract city of Temecula. You yourself told me it was more expensive to go with the sheriff's department. You said the first year it's always cheaper, the first year or two, and then every year thereafter it goes up. And you told us that. So when you are presenting yourself the way you are in this manner to the council, I have no faith in what you say. I don't trust you. Okay? You're the one that told me you're at the mercy of the sheriff once they come in, because costs will always go up no matter what, and there's nothing the city can do about it. And the cost to switch back to a police department are astronomical.
Mr. Kim,
I don't know why you keep on asking me to vote. The last, usually do vote everybody voting. Well, in that case, you forcing me vote, I'm gonna say.
no, I'm not forcing
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
vote. Kim,
abstain.
you are here to vote. If
I'm
you're
gonna
not
abstain.
gonna vote, don't vote.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
like that.
I'm abstain.
You're gonna abstain.
I'm abstain.
You know what it means to abstain?
I don't care.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor respond to say aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim. Okay, we have another item number, which item is this? Fucking cow. We are gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move these to another meeting. They don't seem like pressing issues. It's already almost 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go.
So I'm gonna call for a special meeting,
No, just continue these items at the next meeting.
the next,
Sure.
but, for the, it's gonna be, no, December 7th?
Yeah, I mean, are they,
Yeah, presentation. So I'm gonna call for a special meeting.
I don't know.
No, let's just, I mean, you guys can continue. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You gonna stay?
No,
I'm not
Gonna
gonna,
leave?
It's already 11 o'clock.
And John gonna leave?
I'm not gonna stay. I'm not gonna stay for these items.
You're not gonna say?
No. They're not pressing, they're not,
Plus he-
time sensitive.
Plus, he probably won't vote because he doesn't know how to vote.
They're not time
He's
sensitive.
gonna abstain.
Well, what can I say, man?
Eh? No huevos.
Oh,
No comió.
I move we adjourn, Mr.
It
Mayor,
is what it is.
No.
or I continue these to the next meeting. We don't need a special meeting for these items,
Is that,
right? I mean, these items are just, it's almost 11 o'clock.
Continue? Okay. Motion to continue for the next public council meeting, right? Okay, meeting adjourned.